Hey, welcome back, everybody. Mark from Rams Up. I'm going to get into my Fearsome Four Keys to the game, Rams Texans preseason game number 3. And I'm kind of lying already. Not really keys to the game like I do during the regular season because we're not really focused on winning this game. There are, however, some things we want to see, a wish list of sorts of things I want to see from our Rams, mostly our Rams backups, but nonetheless things that we have to see, we hope to see before the Rams do this cut down to 53 players. And before I get to that, some news and notes, a couple of things. Do have some unfortunate news to share with you before we move on. The Rams starting left tackle, Aqib Jackson, who has been nursing a sore ankle, was already somewhat doubtful for the opener. I think he would have been ready. Has been suspended for 2 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. So he will miss the opener against the Lions in game 2 against the Cardinals. Should be back for that 49er game. And this is really disappointing. Rams depth along the offensive line going to get tested real quickly. Now, we are already a little bit concerned. Havenstein and Jackson both nursing ankle injuries. Looks like Jonah Jackson's bouncing back. But, you figure, hey, if one of those guys can play, we plug Joseph Noteboom in there for a couple games, 1 game or 2, we should be okay. Now, we're definitely going to need Noteboom service. Makes that contract we gave him, it's already starting to pay off. But, man, we better hope that Havenstein's ready to go, or we could have Noteboom and McClendon paired up as our tackles. Not the end of the world. I don't mean to throw shade on Warren McClendon or Joseph Noteboom, but not the best scenario, and really disappointing, especially given, Aqib Jackson was the one that went on Twitter and called out really the entire team, mostly the coaches, saying, hey, you got to play the offensive linemen that get it done in games. And he backed it up, went out there, got the starting job, played really well. And then, getting suspended for 2 games, not a good look. But hey, Rams will figure it out. We can only hope. Going to affect my 53-man roster process that I just shared last episode. Not going to do a redo. I think we can all us Ram fans kind of can figure out how this is going to impact the 53-man roster. An extra guy is going to make it probably. Don't know who that is, but we'll see soon enough. Maybe I'll talk about that. Have some more time to think about it before, right after the Rams-Texans game. Maybe I'll share some thoughts in our quick reaction to the Rams-Texans game. From the Rams website, kind of interesting. They have been trying Limmer at center with Avila at left guard. We knew that kind of makes sense. Just, give these guys a little bit of a taste of what might occur if someone gets hurt. But the interesting part of it was, according to the writer, they are comparing and contrasting that couple, that pairing, Limmer at center, Avila at left guard, with Avila at center and Zach Thomas at left guard. Now, if you saw my 53-man roster show, I kind of cut Zach Thomas, so not sure what that means. Maybe Thomas makes this roster make it. Maybe Logan Bruss doesn't. I thought I might have seen Logan Bruss in there rather than Zach Thomas, but it just, once again, just goes to show you some of the tough decisions the Rams have to make here, especially with Havenstein and Aqib Jackson still recovering from ankle injuries. Jonah Jackson, I don't think we need to talk about his injury anymore. He should be good to go. What else, man? In that joint practice, Rams pass rush continues to bring the heat. Jared Verse, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, and even Bobby Brown. Good to hear. He was a guy that Paul Wally and I have been a little bit concerned about. Is he the weak link in that starting front 3? Maybe not. Maybe he is the dude that we need to. I'm more concerned about defending the run than the pass rush, but good to hear that Bobby Brown's making some noise against some pretty good offensive linemen there in Houston. And they also noted in this article a battle for that 4th cornerback spot, I should say. And, they're kind of highlighting the same thing I did. Josh Wallace, Charles Woods, Trey Tomlinson, Sean Jolly all battling for a spot on this roster, and not sure how that's going to turn out. And one thing that was really puzzling to me, now the Rams signed running back SaRodorick Thompson, and made perfect sense to me. I had been questioning why the Rams hadn't done this already. We saw that in the last preseason game. Boston Scott and Zach Evans, only two suited up running backs, and both of them got hurt at different times during the game and left. Both came back. But I know it's a preseason game, but what do you do if you have no running backs? And I'd like to see Boston Scott sit down at this point. But Sean McVay saying that they held Boston Scott out of practice because this is the joint practice with the Texans, because he's probably going to see heavy duty against the Texans. And I don't know, it does not add up to me. I thought the whole point of bringing in someone like SaRodorick Thompson would be, hey, SaRodorick, you want to come in, fly into Houston, give you a couple pages of the playbook. You're going to get 15 carries along with Zach Evans, and that'll be it. But now McVay saying Boston Scott's going to get a heavy load. If Boston Scott has already made this roster, maybe he hasn't. But if he has, and he's coming back from some soft tissue injury, hold him back. Let Zach and SaRodorick do the job against the Texans. Who cares, really, right? So enough of that. Let's get to my Fearsome Four Wish List, the 4 things I hope to see in this final preseason game. And you could probably guess what a few of them are. Most importantly, well, I shouldn't say that. Very important, though, I would like to see Joshua Carty and Ethan Evans show what they got. Ethan Evans, not a lot of opportunities, hasn't kicked well, though, in the punting game. And Joshua Carty's been okay. Still want to see him hit a 50-yarder, 50-plus. Every week I ask for a little bit more. I want it just any kick, just your average 35-yard kick. We got that. Hey, how about a 48-yarder? I asked specifically for a 48-yarder, and he hit one. So I'm going to ask for, hey, how about, don't get too greedy here, how about a 53-yarder from Joshua Carty? And like I said, some nice punts from Ethan Evans. The other thing I want to see is the second thing on my wish list. I want to see a bunch of guys sitting down. I don't need to see any more Jordan Whittington. I don't need to see any more Bo Limmer. I know you want to experiment with these different combinations. I get it. No more of him. Cam Kinchins, if he's good to go, sit him down. There's probably a few other guys that I'd like to see sit down. But, you know, if you're on this roster and you're going to be rotating in, take a seat. And if that happens to be the case with Nick Hampton, same thing. Tyler Davis, same thing. I know you got to put 11 guys out there on defense, 11 guys on offense, but there's a handful of guys that I really don't want out there in this preseason game. I don't care if it's 40-0 Texans. I'd be happy with 40-0 Texans. Let's make it 40-3 with Joshua Carty hitting a 53-yard field goal. How about that? Now, that leads me to the third thing on my wish list. Now, if we're only scoring 3 points, what does that mean for Stetson Bennett's performance? I just want to see some steady improvement from Stetson, more accurate on his throws primarily, right? That's been his biggest issue. The biggest issue last week, anyways, throwing behind receivers, throwing late, that type of thing. We've seen some good things. It's a big problem the Rams have on their hands, at least most fans would seem to think. Going into games 1 and 2 with Stetson Bennett as your number 2 QB2, I don't know, man, a little bit unsettling. So like to see some improvement by him. And even if he does improve and have a good game, I don't know if that's going to totally calm our concerns about QB2 going into Detroit. And the last thing I want to see, hey, our starters have been bringing it. The defensive line and edge rushers putting a lot of pressure. They were apparently chasing C.J. Stroud all over the place. Hey, let's put a quarterback on his back a few times. And I know some of these guys aren't going to play, but Van Valkenburg, Nick Hampton, if you're out there, O'Shawn Mathis. Let's bring it. Let's get some sacks. Need to see. We've seen pressure. Game 1, we saw a lot of pressure. Game 2, not so much, although we did get the sack from Watkins. Let's see some more pressure like we saw in Game 1, but actually culminating in sacks. And I'd like to see some takeaways from our defense. I don't care who's out there. I said this last week. I don't care who's out there. It's a mentality, a vibe that you develop on defense, that you're taking the ball away and you are pressuring the quarterback. So I want to see that in this final preseason game as well. And most importantly, of course, no injuries. Let's turn injuries off. Let's hold back a bunch of guys. Good special teams, kicker, punter, Stetson Bennett, takeaways, sacks. Is that asking for too much? I hope not. That's all I got. That's all I'm hoping for. That's my Fearsome Four wish list for the Rams Texans preseason game number 3. Can't wait for opening day. Got to get through these 53. Got to get through this 53-man roster cut down first. Going to be very interesting. A lot of questions the Rams have to answer. And man, we'll all find out Tuesday. And we'll have a roundtable discussing that. We'll also have a quick reaction video following the Rams-Texans game. And then Tuesday night, roundtable with Ian and Paul. It's going to be crazy checking out this 53-man roster out here from Rams Up.